Hi viewers, it's now 1 year until Brexit Day, and to mark this historical moment, I'm very proud to announce that Newsthing has fired its first satellite into space, which we're going to use to monitor Britain over the next year as we slowly move away from the continent. This is going to be broadcast 24/7 live from our Newsthing satellite. If you tune in on weekday afternoons, you'll be able to hear commentary from myself and Sir David Attenborough, which we will be releasing as a podcast called The Long Road to Freedom. So I really hope you can have a little watch and a listen to that. But in the meantime, enough of the plugs. Time now for this week's Newsthing.
It's Saturday night and we're almost live from London, like we're Cilla fucking Black or something. Yes, it's the UK's longest running and least shit satirical show. It's Sam Delaney's Newsthing. By appointment to Her Majesty the Queen, application pending. Tampering with the news this week, refused to take more than 100 milliliters of fluid on a flight even before the ban, it's Maddie Anholt. Played Will Smith in The Fresh Prince, it's Karen Danchuk. Once radicalized by plumbers to become a suicide plumber, it's Jake Yap. Plus, Sam's special guest, here to tell us whether Jeremy Corbyn is a racist or merely a dildo. It's comedian Joe Bohr.
Hello and welcome to Sam Delaney's Newsthing. Have a look at these political cartoons. Is that racist? Well, what about this one? Is that racist? And what about this one? The answer, of course, is yes to all of them. They are all racist, except the first one, which is just confusing, and the second one, which is actually hilarious. I mean, the lion's wearing a hat. Whatever next? But it's the last one that has kicked off all the trouble this week after a Facebook comment emerged in which Jeremy Corbyn appeared to oppose the removal of that image from a mural in East London, despite it having what looks like fairly obvious anti-Semitic overtones. This has revived the seemingly never-ending anti-Semitism issues for Labour, prompting a protest by British Jews and many of Labour's own MPs. Mind you, Corbyn's comment was made 6 years ago, so why is it being brought up now? Well, probably because there's local elections coming up soon and some of the right are waking up to the news that our Netflix won't work anymore when we go on holiday to Europe. But that doesn't mean the meat of Corbyn's response isn't relevant. Look, I don't think Corbyn's an anti-Semite. The problem is that just because he himself seems a decent, tolerant bloke, he's convinced himself that everyone else in the Labour Party is too. And so he's got nothing to answer for. Like a bloke who thinks that the Me Too campaign is a load of old bollocks because, well, he's never seen it happen in the same lift as him. Let's be honest, we all have friends or family members with dodgy views on race, and most of the time we learn to accommodate them. Your sister knows not to take her Asian fiancé to visit your gran in the care home, right? And I know never to let my wife get drunk around the Portuguese. But when you're leader of the opposition, you have to do better than that. You can't turn a blind eye to all the dodgy shit that goes on at Labour fringe meetings with some weak platitudes about that time 80 years ago that Labour threw bricks at a load of fascists in Cable Street. To be fair, last year Corbyn did ask his mate, Shami Chakrabarti, to conduct a full-scale investigation into anti-Semitism in the Labour Party, and after half an hour of digging, she told him it was all OK and there'd never been any. And shortly afterwards, in an entirely unrelated incident, he gave her a peerage. But he's got so wrapped up in a narrative about smears and conspiracies against him by the Tories, the right-wing press and the Blairites that he can't see that there might actually be a bit of a problem with certain elements of his party. Jeremy Corbyn needs to pull his head out of his arse and come down on these dodgy 1930s-style Jew-suspicious bastards like a ton of bricks. He needs to send a message to the British Jewish community that there's no place for any of this bollocks in Labour. Karen Danchuk, let's start with you. You're a member of the Labour Party, right?
I am, yes.
Do you hate Jews?
No, I don't hate Jews.
What do you think, Jeremy Corbyn? Do you think he's responded to this stuff in an appropriate way?
No, No, he's not, and it's the same with any leader or any person of prominence. They all go to the RSPCA fringe meeting, free reception, and they love a dog. But then they'll all go to the cat association, and then they love cats. And it's the same with this. We hate what's happening here, but then they'll go to the opposition side. Oh yeah, we hate what's happening over there. It's just a case of Jeremy trying to keep everyone happy.
Even the anti-Semites.
Yes, I would. Yeah, I would say to a certain extent.
One minute he's going to the pro-Jews, then he says, I love the Jews. I hate the Jews.
Pro-Palestine, against Palestine. So yeah, and it's just all catching up with him. And I think we just need leaders and politicians who just say what they actually think and not what they want to, us all to think they think.
Maddie, I mean, he thinks that he is the victim of a constant smear campaign when any criticism comes his way. But he thinks he's unique. But I mean, Ed Miliband was bullied over the way he ate a sandwich. David Cameron, someone spread a rumour that he'd fucked a pig, even though there was no evidence for it. But Jeremy Corbyn's forgotten about all that and thinks it's only him.
Yeah, no, it's not only him. Of course it's not. But the whole thing to me was a bit like when you're like your mum or your dad gets on Facebook for the first time, and they and they'll do this, just so many funny things across Facebook, and they'll be like, oh, Sainsbury's, do you still stock? Do you know what I mean? It was like Jeremy Corbyn he just got on Facebook and he just learned, and he was like, I'll be on side. I'm doing Facebook. This is what I'm doing, and he just that's literally what I think has happened here.
So Jay Yap, what should he have done when all of this kicked off?
I think he should have just dismissed it as banter, because that works.
You're right. That's actually a sort of a get out of jail free card, isn't it? In any situation in public life.
Yeah. It's banter. It's difficult. Let's not forget, Boris Johnson, in a newspaper article fairly recently, talked about pickaninnies with their watermelon smiles. So, there's racism going on all over politics.
Is it somehow worse, though, when it comes from the Labour Party? Like if a right-winger's racist, you kind of think, idiots, right? But there's something more insidious and dodgy and slightly heartbreaking.
It's a disappointment. It's a bitter disappointment, I think. If, whatever your political affiliation is, it's always a bitter disappointment when you discover that, there's some really horrible, shitty people involved in the same politics as me. But
thanks, panel.
There now follows a message from the Right Honourable Jeremy Corbyn.
Now, I hear a lot of shit from the Tories about how Labour are anti-business, anti-British, anti-Semite, and, of course, anti-women. They never stop banging on about how Labour have never had a female leader. Well, guess what? They have now. And you're fucking looking at her. That's right. I identify as a bird now. And no one can say I don't, because it's all up here, isn't it? At least, that's what I'm telling everyone. Of course, I haven't had haven't gone the whole hog. I'm not fucking stupid. Now, don't get me wrong, I sometimes tuck it up the arse and give it the old Canadian fruit bowl to make them laugh at a shadow cabinet meeting. But I'm not letting them carve little Jez up like a fucking turkey. Oh, no thanks. Mind you, McDonald's only gone and had the whole lot done. Oh, yeah. But then he's always been the militant one. I told him, though, I said, you're going to do it, you go private, get the professionals in. But he insisted he had it done on the NHS. Well, I don't need to tell you how that turned out. Talk about a bot's job. Oh.
A powerful message at this special time of year. Now, the proud island nation of ultra-competitive bartending xenophobes, Australia, was rocked to the core this week when it emerged its national cricket team had cheated in their test against South Africa. Cricket is Australia's third most popular sport behind swing ball and going to prison. So fans were shocked and outraged when celebrated batsman Cameron Bancroft did the unthinkable. He's rubbed the ball with a secret bit of sandpaper. Then, as a final insult, he's hidden it inside his foreskin. Naughty, naughty. It was a fiendish plot by Bancroft, Captain Steve Smith and Vice-Captain David Warner to tamper with the ball and win the game, which might have worked had they not done it on live TV watched by millions. They've all since been banned by Cricket Australia, lost lucrative contracts and heaped shame on a nation still recovering from the 2001 release of Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles, the hushed-up third instalment of the trilogy in which Mick Dundee wanks off crocodiles for the entertainment of tourists. But is it a punishment they deserve? If you look closely at the footage, Bancroft simply rubs the ball on his willy. However, his willy is flaccid at the time because he's surrounded by men, and as we all know, there are no gay Australians. Now for the science. As you can see, this equation represents an Australian's erection. The ball would only actually change its form if the bowler had an erection to rub it against. But remember, because they're in the southern hemisphere, Aussie erections point down, not up. It's why in the first episode of long-running Aussie soap Neighbours, Harold Bishop's now infamous opening gambit was, "Madge, get in here, you daft old bastard. I've got myself a sleeping bat." So, anyway, enough of that. Was Bancroft cheating, or was he simply giving himself a cheeky upside-down semi-on? Difficult to say for sure, isn't it? But let's not forget, sport is a man-made construct, victory and defeat are meaningless, fluid notions, and rules are entirely arbitrary. So I'm using my platform here as the world's best sports journalist to suggest Australia's cricket bosses just let it go. It's only rubbing a ball with a bit of sandpaper, for God's sake. He's hardly Lance Armstrong or Prince Andrew, chinning a pint of supercharged horse spunk before the egg and spoon race on It's a Royal Knockout. Live and let live, I say. Panel, what's the worst cheating you've ever done, Maddie?
The worst cheating? You know what? I don't think... Oh, that's a fucking lie. I have, actually. Yeah, so it was doing a half marathon. I'm doing...
Oh, you did a shortcut.
Did it? Yeah, no, it wasn't like a proper one, and I was training and I was doing it with my sister, and I felt terrible. So I did a shortcut. This is in Geneva, and then I felt even worse because I learnt later that she was pregnant at the time. So I had then cheated a pregnant woman.
But you were in Switzerland, where they turn a blind eye to fucking anything, don't they?
Yeah, so I do feel terrible.
But that is awful. You're an awful person. Jake, this is the most interesting thing to happen to cricket in years, and even this is quite dull. Do you think it might be a conspiracy to get the rest of us watching cricket?
Conceivably. I mean, I'm sort of a big fan of deregulating almost all sports and taking it back to the savagery whence it emerged.
Yeah.
I mean, why not, say it's a complete free-for-all? Put iron spikes sticking out the board, make you think twice, I think, on the receiving end.
Yeah.
I feel that with most sports, with rugby and stuff, there's all these sort of gum shields and rules about contact. Look, these guys, they know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
Let them go all out, give them bits of 2x4 with nails sticking out.
It is weird, isn't it? You make up a load of rules. You go over there, but here's the rule. And then someone changes it. It's like, why does everyone get... It's all made out. It's like, you've got kids, Karen, like I've got kids. When I play any game with my kids, especially my 6-year-old son, he just changes it constantly. If we're playing with his figures, he changes the rules constantly to make sure that he wins.
Yes.
Right? But I'm the adult, he's the kid. I mean, it is bullshit sometimes the way he changes fucking top trumps rules. I mean, it's fucking bullshit. But I rise above it because I think it's just a silly game, right? What does it matter?
Yes. Is it silly? Yeah, well, I think it's silly. I can't even call it a game, and I would agree. I think they've just...
Karen Danger, you're here on one of the most watched shows on British television, saying that you don't acknowledge cricket to be a game.
Yes, I don't.
Wow.
It's just not fun. There's nothing there. It's just men throwing a ball around.
Apparently, one of the cricketers that censored this cried in public. That's going to make the Aussies hate him even more, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would have thought so, yeah. Yeah, he was crying, I'm so sorry how my mum and dad feel about this, blah, blah, blah.
He knew it, but I mean, the staggering naivety when there's probably 35 cameras on you with telephoto lenses and slow-mo. Like, what do you think? Like, you can't pick your nose out there.
So it might have been a cry for help.
I think it was.
Oh, wow, no, we're taking this way too far.
I think it's intervention.
Yeah, he knew the world was watching. He knew he'd be found out.
And he wanted to be.
He wanted to be found out. He hates cricket. He plays cricket because he's sad, but he's sad because he plays cricket.
Yeah.
There we are.
It's an allegory for all of our lives.
Yeah.
Thanks, panel. After the break, I'll be joined by Joe Bohr, a Jewish comedian who's not only a comedian and Jewish, but was Jewish Comedian of the Year. Take that, haters of Jews and comedians. See you in a minute.